I'm Alan Weiss, and this is The Writing on the Wall. Welcome to Writing on the Wall. This episode is about what I would do if I were president. I can't even say that with a straight face. People have asked me to run for office. You know, they've asked me to run for mayor and governor and senator and all those kind of things. And some people have said, you want to be president. Well, maybe so. But I could never run for office because I couldn't stand the race. I couldn't be in the competition. I wouldn't stand a chance. My interpersonal habits would not stand for it. I'd be, I think, much too honest. But I'd be great in office. So if I were president, for those of you who are interested, I want to tell you what I would do. In no special order. I would change school funding across the country. I would not allow schools to be funded with local property taxes because the poorest schools are inner city schools where they need the most help and they get the least resources. The most affluent communities get the best resources because they have the highest property taxes. I would pool all property taxes and redistribute them so schools get what they need where they are. That would do a lot to equalize education and give everyone equal opportunity. Right now, school funding is the major source. I've talked about teachers' unions on my podcast. They're another problem. But for now, school funding. Number two, we need secure entrances and exits at all schools. We can't allow our kids to be scared in school. If we can have security by TSA at airports, we can have security in schools. You have a metal detector and security officers, and people say, well, yeah, I can't have it at every entrance. You have it at one entrance. Everybody goes through that entrance. You open the school earlier, and then in case of emergency, someone presses a button and all exits open. You can go out any exit. We need better security. Right now, there is none. We need civilian review boards for all police shootings. I'm not blaming the police here. I'm not blaming anyone. What I'm saying is, though, the president is a civilian. The president's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. Civilians ought to oversee police shootings and make a decision as to whether they're justified or not, and whether changes need to be made or charges brought for that matter. I think colleges should be responsible for student loans, not banks, not financial institutions. Colleges should make the loans and collect them. And I think then we wouldn't have this problem with excessive loans, excessive interest, and student debt. Some students could work off the loans. We need to change that system. Right now it's ridiculous. But people need to pay for college, and forgiving college loans is just stupid. We need to limit CEO pay in public enterprises. If you found Apple, you're welcome to what you get. You found Microsoft, you found Federal Express, fine. But in public institutions, and once they change to public institutions, I would suggest 200 to 1. That is, the CEO can have no more than 200 times the average pay in the company. Right now, some of them are at 1,000 to 1. You might feel 200 to 1 is too much. I'm willing to think about that. But you don't need 125 million to run a company when somebody else can run it for 50 million just as well. And we can argue those amounts, but that's what I would do. I'd legalize prostitution, I'd tax it, and I'd sanitize it. And we're not talking about trafficking in women, and we're not talking about enslaving women. There are women who want to engage in this, and probably men. There are men and women who want to take advantage of it. It's been here for over 2,000 years, folks, and it's not going away for the next 2,000. We might as well legalize it, make money from it, and make it safe. We need public funding for multiple political parties. I personally think that after 2020, we will see other parties emerge because people are fed up with the two we've got. I know I am. And so if you can raise a certain amount of funding from the public, the government should fund other political parties. And I'd like to see 3 or 4 parties so we have more choices, frankly. Public defenders should come from top law firms. One of the greatest inequalities in this country, aside from education, is legal representation. And we have public defenders who aren't very good. And they're defending people who can't afford better lawyers. Every major law firm should be forced to provide a partner once or twice a month to defend people who are indigent in every city. And people should really have fairness and equality under the law by having top legal representation. And that has to be provided, and it has to be provided now in every city. The future, folks, is a blend of a multiplicity of fuels, and we have to stop thinking about why we should stop drilling for oil and why we should stop extracting natural gas. We need oil and gas. We need other things. We're not going to live on solar energy. We're not going to live on tidal energy. So we have to admit that a synergy is coming, just like we have society that uses checks and is cashless, a society that is paperless and uses paper. We have to think of this in its totality, and we have to get serious and realistic about it. I think we should have 1 year of service for everyone by the time they're 23. If you want to put in your time of service at 18 when you get out of high school, that's fine. If you want to wait till you're out of college at 23, it's fine, but everybody serves in the Peace Corps or the government or some domestic health corps or the armed services or something. But a year of public service, man and woman, everyone. I think we need to stop age discrimination. Age discrimination today is as bad as racial discrimination. We're throwing out our talent. We're not accepting people. We're not looking at people. We're writing them off because they're above a certain age. And if you think that that's close to my nervous system, you're absolutely right, because I'm on top of the game and I'm better than just about anyone you're ever going to meet. We have to stop castigating people. We have to stop treating people as though they're deficient just because they're over a certain age. We need to make cross-checks for drinking under the influence. Do you know that right now, virtually no one looks at driver's license, boating licenses, and airplane licenses? Do you know that you can have a pilot in a 747 who's had drunken driving arrests? That's right, I don't mean he's drinking in the cockpit, but I do mean it's possible. We should remove the licensing of any media which does not provide fair and equal and open opportunity to all political views. You should be forced, as a provision of having a media license, broadcast license, to provide open opportunity for every political view. We need to separate out the editorial from news reporting. The Times can get away with it. They're privately owned. It's a newspaper. But public television and radio shouldn't. We need free internet, period. Across the country, everywhere. Charging for internet is heinous, and it's another discrimination against poorer people. We should increase the size of the Navy. One of President Obama's huge mistakes, besides apologizing all over the world, was reducing the size of the Navy. Global political realities today indicate a huge Navy is very important to defend our interests. And we should increase the size of the Navy, given what the Chinese are doing. We should make religion acceptable and not forbidden. And by that I mean, the government should not endorse any religion. It should not force people to engage in any religion. But a prayer on a wall, a creche on a public piece of property, is not going to stigmatize anyone forever. And so you have freedom of religion here, but freedom from religion is something else. And we've gone overboard on this. Finally, we need to make German Shepherds the national dog.